Today, the long wait has finally ended. Halloween 2013 has arrived, and with it, Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Alright, I'm going to state up front, this is not going to be a review of the product. This channel doesn't really focus on reviews. This will be an overview of packing. This will be insight into how international shipments arrived. The package arrived today in South Korea and was shipped last week, so that's pretty good. Now, the box arrived in good condition. As you can see, there's only one section of it here which has some slight rippling or denting. That includes a dent down toward the bottom corner and the bottom corner here, but the rest of the box seems fine. There's not a lot of shifting inside. It's a very, very heavy package, as we have been primed to expect by our backer updates. So, let's take a look inside. Some commenters on the channel have expressed horror at how I use an X-Acto knife, and so I feel that's especially appropriate in this unboxing, the horror check, that is. Because it is Call of Cthulhu after all. So, yay. I like how I use an X-Acto knife. Alright, this is reminding me right now of a Noble Knight package because of the paper, but Chaosium's normal fulfillment center is the same one that the Design Mechanism has been using. So if you've seen my unboxings from some of the Design Mechanism print editions, you know to expect high quality. However, for this shipping of this particular set of products for backers, the hubs, the regional hubs, were tasked with sending it out. Now, some backers have reported damage, and the company has been awesome in stepping forward to address that. I have no idea if this shipment is a pre-damage alert shipment or a post-damage alert shipment, so that's part of the reason for this overview. Looking carefully at the tracking information, I see that this particular shipment originated in Chaosium's normal shipper in Brainerd. So that probably explains why it looks so familiar to me. So we have a fairly dense piece of white paper on top, as we can all see. We'll get rid of that, which leads us to all of these cardboard baffles to keep it securely in place. I didn't feel any shifting when I was carrying the box around, so they're definitely doing their job. And this box in the middle, the box within the box, is solid all the way down, and it's taped on top, and inside we can see more packing paper. And it's in there very well, so I'm going to need both hands to get it out. So behold the glory of an empty box. Now we'll get rid of this. And that leaves us with the actual box of goodies, which is significantly smaller. So once again, need to use the X-Acto knife, which is now buried under packing material. Here we go. Isn't this exciting? Doesn't this all seem familiar? We have our cardboard baffles and our paper. So here's my packing slip. Okay. All right. On top we have the soft cover of the Sandy Peterson's Field Guide to Lovecraftian Horrors. Very nicely done. I have the originals from an earlier edition. These look fantastic. Then we have the Nameless Horrors, also in soft cover. It's kind of a matte finish. It's a very nice binding is evident, and there's no damage to corners or anything. And then we have the Slipcase, and this is the image that's for the Investigator's Handbook. Very reminiscent of a certain famous game, wouldn't you say? And it is in shrink wrap, and it goes all the way to the bottom of the box. And once again, I'll need two hands to get it out. Look not into the empty box, lest the empty box look into you. Okay, here's the other side, which is the cover for the Keeper's Guide. Sorry for all the glare. There's nothing I can do about that at this moment. So, everything's upside down from this angle, but hefty books. From the other side, see the shrink wrap is intact. The corners, very sharp corners of the slipcase are perfectly square. Absolutely no trouble with shipping this internationally. Almost back to the source, really. So let's take a more readable look at the spines. So we have the Keeper's Rulebook, we have the Investigator's Handbook, and we have the very large screen. Those things fit inside the slipcase. Alright, so I've peeled away the shrink wrap from the spines so that I can get them out of the case, but still leave the case protected for its journey to my home. It's a very tight fit. The slipcase is perfectly sized for each of these books. It's really quite nice. The slipcase itself feels very, very sturdy. The keeper screen is also in shrink wrap. The books are not. You can see their bookmark ribbons. Everything's out of the slipcase now. This is the back of the keeper screen kit. There's a book and the screen bundled together. And this image is fantastic. I like plain screens for Call of Cthulhu myself, maybe an Elder Sign or something, but wow, that's breathtaking. And looking on the back, we have a fantastic Lovecraft quote. This is the back of the Investigator Handbook. Everything is so crisp. I'm very impressed with how it looks. The book also has a matte finish, very sharp corners, very clear printing. This is the Investigator's Handbook. Very vivid colors. This is an excellent print job for the cover. Everything stands out in great detail. Very pleased with it, actually. Right. I'll take a look at the interiors in a moment. Same sort of effect for the Keeper's Rulebook. Right. Very vivid. Under these fluorescent lights, you're not getting the same effect that I am. The front cover is a continuation or a reference to the cover from the 5.6 and 6th editions, except everything's a little bit closer, a little bit more in your face, speaking of faces. All right, let's take a quick look at some of the more interesting pages within. The splash pages are pretty impressive. There's different levels of art throughout, and I'm not going to be talking too much about the art. The font is large. There's a lot of white space. There are things such as flow charts. It's laid out almost like a scrapbook. In effect, there's photographs and whatnot. The pages have a slightly glossy feel, but it's not a high gloss. It's quite easy to read, even under the fluorescence, as you can see. Yeah. So what to expect from the Keeper's Handbook? This is a very representative chapter of what you're going to find. And I guess that's what I want to say about that. I found some damage. That's unfortunate. It's just these few pages. It really wasn't. Should have been evident, but it wasn't. Huh. Okay. Very peculiar. I have no idea how these particular pages could come to have been folded, but not a big deal. There's a slight line in the blackness of this page for chapter 14. A little bit of, no, it's not a ripple, that's actually part of the page, so these will flatten out over time. There's always a mar in something somewhere. Okay, so that's the Keeper's Rulebook. Is there similar damage here? Doesn't appear to be. The binding is solid. I mean, you're not hearing any of the creaking glue noise or anything like that. Similar, slightly different color. Maybe more active art. But there's a lot of text to go through for character creation and so on. So anybody who gets into Call of Cthulhu should be aware that there will be some reading. The writing style is active throughout. It's not difficult to sit down and read this, and I am going to be talking about the writing in my actual review of the 7th edition. But again, not here, not for this. This is just a look at what I got in the mail, and let's be excited about it. Okay? I really like this particular chapter, the Roaring Twenties chapter. And it's stuff like this that adds to the page count so significantly for this edition. It does mean that this edition is focusing very strongly on the 1920s era, which I'm totally fine with. All right. Yeah, nothing wrong with this. All right, so one small blemish, one I can live with.
That's it? No.
Nameless Horrors was one of the stretch goals that came along with everything, and it adds 6 new adventures to the 7th edition catalog, which is nice, in soft cover. I don't tend to use printed adventures. Sometimes I like to read them to see how the system is being implemented in the designer's mind. Again, we have the large white space. It's similar to Chaosium products in the past in layout, and yet also similar to 7th edition. The font is fairly large, good amount of art and things. Very clear, bright white pages, so I like that a fair bit. The binding seems good, and a soft cover at the table for an anthology of adventures I think is a good idea. I kind of wish I had this one in hardcover. I know a message went out. I seem to have missed it. I would have upgraded to a hardcover had I not missed it, but this is fine. This is not something I use for players, even though that's really what it's meant for, a field observer's handbook. But I like to use this as ideas. Everybody imagines things differently, and when I'm running a game like Call of Cthulhu, I don't want people tied to a specific imagining of things. And that includes my imagining of things. I like to be inspired by art from different sources to mix up my impressions from the text and my impressions of the being, and add in different things, and maybe have the description shift from time to time so that people aren't really ever sure what they're looking at and what that might mean. The ability to be unpredictable, the ability for the mythos to be incomprehensible or ineffable is valuable to me as a keeper. And so a product like this is a source of information for the keeper, not a source of battle details or refined, limited, or defined imaginings for the players. This is a lovely, lovely book. I'm glad to have that. And that's it. I'm not going to open the screen now. I'm going to save it for another unboxing, its own individual unboxing. will note that it has a book and a screen. It's very, very solid and significantly heavy. And the Investigator Handbook and the Keeper Rulebook with its slight blemish. Nothing's ever perfect. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of rambling overview. Its purpose has just been to show contents delivered, happy recipient, and no damage related to shipping. Whatever happened to the Keeper Rulebook would have been a packing incident related to the slipcase.